the most sobering words you will ever hear from star quarterback Aaron Rodgers. Get this. He's on the Pat McAfee show. McAfee does an incredible job. And Rodgers says, look, if the Packers feel like it was in their best interest of the team to move forward, so be it. Again, that wouldn't offend me, and it wouldn't make me feel like a victim. If they feel like it was in the best interest of the team to move forward, so be it, Aaron Rodgers says. Close quote. Well, Rodgers, since you said it, let me just add my little co-signature to it.
Be cool with it.
Be cool with it.
Right.
It's in the best interest of the Packers to go ahead and move on from Aaron Rodgers. They are delaying the inevitable. Packers, it's time you believe in yourself. You've done this before. Brett Favre, he was there. Aaron Rodgers was drafted. Rodgers sat for a few years. Rodgers takes over, and a few years later, in Rodgers' sixth year, if I am not mistaken, as a person on the team, his third year as a starter, you all are in the Super Bowl. Packers, you have Aaron Rodgers. You draft Jordan Love. Jordan Love has sat for 3 years. Jordan Love showed some promise against the Philadelphia Eagles when he had to come in relief. It is time, Packers, for you to believe in yourself and stop being held hostage by Aaron Rodgers. With Rodgers, y'all went 9-8 this year. With Rodgers, y'all missed the playoffs this year. With Rodgers, y'all dealt with a lot of headaches this year. You could go 9-8, miss the playoffs, and deal with less headaches with Jordan Love. Now, I don't think you will because, Shady, the nucleus of my argument is very much so this before I hear from you. It is time to completely change the old guard for the Green Bay Packers. I respect David Bakhtiari and Randall Cobb a whole lot. Bakhtiari, Randall Cobb, Aaron Rodgers. They roll as a gang, if you will. It is time to move on from the old guard, let them go be great elsewhere, if not out of football, and usher in the new guard. Christian Watson, Jordan Love, Romeo Doubs. If you recall, when Aaron Rodgers walked off the field for that one final time, it was arm in arm with Randall Cobb and Bakhtiari trailing. Why is that important? Because Randall Cobb is the third or fourth wide receiver. Randall Cobb is on the team this year because of Aaron Rodgers.
Sure.
Well, what should the third or fourth wide receiver be doing, Dave Helman, in football?
Special teams.
No doubt about it. The third or fourth wide receiver got to be on special teams.
Yeah.
Noah Brown, the third or second wide receiver for the Cowboys, he's the right wing on punt. Yeah. Just FYI. Quez Watkins for the Eagles. He's on about 3 of the 4 phases for the Philadelphia Eagles, third wide receiver. Randall Cobb's not on special teams, but he's on the team because of Aaron Rodgers. So now the entirety of the team is being less efficient in their functionality because of Aaron Rodgers. Randall Cobb's done a lot of great things there. He'll probably end up in the Packers Hall of Fame, but let the old guard, Cobb, Rodgers, Bakhtiari, move on, usher in Jordan Love. Shady, I think the Packers are better off without Aaron Rodgers. Where you stand?
I agree. I truly agree. Like, I really agree with that because Packers, like, enough's enough. It's been 18 long years, right? And it's like, you got to take back your organization. It's all Aaron Rodgers. What's Aaron wants to do? Does Aaron wants to play? Oh, we can't make Aaron mad. We got to get Aaron receivers. We got to pay Aaron. He's 39 years old. It's time. Every team goes to this. Every franchise goes to this. It's time to move on. In 18 years, he's gave you 1 Super Bowl appearance, 1 championship. That's good. Is it? He's got 4 MVPs for himself. He's only gave y'all 1 championship appearance. It's time to move on. Every team goes through it. Real quick, Peyton Manning went through it. Joe Montana went through it. I was there when Donovan McNabb went through it. People think that Randall Cunningham was the biggest quarterback for the Eagles. That's not true. It's Donovan McNabb. If you look at the numbers, he was running stuff. Him and Andy Reid. And there was a point where I was a rookie, right? And then the next year, my second year, they moved on. People couldn't believe it. Why would we move from Donovan McNabb? Everything runs its course. It's time. He hasn't been playing well, Aaron Rodgers. Let's just be honest. 8-9. He hasn't thrown for 300 yards, not once this season. I think that the best of Aaron Rodgers we've already seen. It's time to move on. It happens.
Joy, you agree with, I think it's that relational quote, it takes you half as long to break up, like is the time
the breakup period should be half as long as whatever the relationship
I'll be gone. I'll be gone.
That don't work for Capricorns. It's over.
Joy doesn't buy it.
I'm like, I feel like this is a long breakup period for Aaron Rodgers. But, Joy, where do you stand? Packers better off without him?
18 years. Got you for 18 years.
It's like worse than child support. 18 years? Come on now.
I do
the
know those
Packers
lyrics,
had some
by the
good
way.
years in these 18 years with Aaron Rodgers. Let's not focus too much on the sour. I also would say a lot of this is.
You're really going to let him slide with a child support line?
I mean, what?
He's not on child support. That's why he's laughing. Hello.
I mean, get it out, Shady.
Look.
And then real talk, in 6 years, and that's my last point. In 6 years, bro, they got two playoff wins.
I thought you were about to say 2 kids, honestly.
No, because then that 18
I don't know what
years,
A-Rod
that
is.
18
But think about
years
that, though.
over.
Pounds upon itself.
2 wins, that ain't nothing. Come on.
But a lot of this is the Packers' fault. Because let's just go back in time here, and I don't agree with everything that Aaron Rodgers does.
She's not wrong.
But one part of this that I was completely on his side with and remain, and this is why the Packers are in this situation, communication is important in life, folks. How you treat people is important. How you talk to people, how you approach people, how you make decisions. And if you got Aaron Rodgers in the building, you better not go draft Jordan Love and not let him know that you're going to do it. So, yeah, they did it, and Aaron was like, oh, you just going to play me? You going to play up in my face? All right, cool. Now y'all owe me like $110 million. Your cap is all messed up, and I'm going to do whatever I want. So you're going to bring in Randall Cobb if I say so, because this is really my house. You played around, and now you got to follow by the rules. So, yeah, this breakup probably started a few years ago, but the Packers was the first one to step out. And they did it publicly, right in his face. Disrespectful.
But don't you think, Joy, here's what's fascinating to me, not to beat this relationship analogy to
That's cool.
to the extent.
We're rolling on it now.
It's this, Shady. You know this, man, and don't tell on yourself. You happen to do that a lot on this show. But you know this is
Keep it real.
a relationship ends how a relationship begins. How'd the relationship with Aaron Rodgers and the Packers begin? Y'all don't act like you
get him
forgot.
is how you lose him?
Don't act like you forgot.
That's true.
Aaron Rodgers.
I love Brett Favre.
They had themselves a Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Went to 2 Super Bowls. League NFL MVP. Won a Super Bowl. They drafted Aaron Rodgers, too. Let's not get it twisted.
true. Yeah.
Okay.
They drafted Aaron Rodgers while they had Brett Favre. So, Aaron, don't for a second think you immune to the same
But
treatment
I don't
that
think
you
he
disposed
is.
Favre to.
His statement clearly made it seem like he is
good.
aware.
Yeah, he's in a
My
healthy
question
place.
is not that. I don't think that this is going to be an aggressively bad breakup, because we have been seeing this for the past few years. This isn't the first time we've had this conversation. He's talked about retiring. Obviously, the Jordan Love thing was a very big deal. My question is, do you feel like you're just going to ride off into the sunset as smoothly as you did with Aaron Rodgers, with Jordan Love?
See, that's my thing. Like, you're kind of making my point for me, not realizing it, which is, like, it's easy to say all of this stuff when you've had a great quarterback since, like, the first Bush administration.
Right.
That's how far back we're going. Seriously. Think long and hard about telling a great quarterback. And I know he's not as good as he was. I get it. Aaron Rodgers is still a hell of a lot better than what you could wind up with. You're talking about Philadelphia. It's easy to forget because Jalen looks like the man right now and Wentz had his moments. Philadelphia had some bumpy moments in between when Donovan McNabb was gone.
Did they?
I remember Kevin Cobb. I remember that being a thing.
Remember that was only like 6 games.
I'm just
Michael Vick came in.
Michael Vick didn't.
Michael Vick finished second on MVP. That's what you say now.
Michael Vick had a short term in Philadelphia relative to an Aaron Rodgers or a Brett Favre. You brought up Peyton Manning as well. Andrew Luck looked like the solution. First of all, the whole bottom had to drop out on your team for you to get him. You had to have the number 1 pick in the draft. Okay. And then, by the way, they didn't do a good enough job of putting a team around him to keep him in the league, and now they're in quarterback hell. Yeah. Like the Colts looked like they were set up to do a Favre to Manning or Favre to Rodgers thing.
Yeah.
It's hard to find a quarterback, and that's why. Look, I think we're all exhausted of talking about Aaron Rodgers, right? Aren't we?
Well, I'm just saying
I mean, it's good content.
I love you saying, but what has he really? I'm gonna ask you because you brought it up, right? Like the era without Aaron Rodgers, it might get scary. But if you look at his numbers lately, last 6 years, he's only won 2 playoff games. So it's like, is it gonna be really that bad? Or is it gonna be like similar?
What's more likely to be good in the short term? Well, think about that. I mean, the Packers have already missed their window with Jordan Love. They've already missed the window of building an amazing team around him like San Francisco's doing or like Philly's doing.
Right.
He's in his 3rd year, and they don't know what he is. If they pick up his 5th-year option, you're paying him like $20 million, and then obviously the giant thing looming over you that you have to figure out what to do with him in the future. You're not saving any money by trading or cutting Aaron Rodgers because the cap hit's going to be crazy. It's going to hamstring your team-building efforts. So what's the more likely scenario? Moving on with him just because we're tired of talking about him and he goes on Pat McAfee's show every week? Or keep him for another year and try to keep building around him? Like, I'm not saying that it's definitely going to work in winning you a Super Bowl, but I think it's the more realistic option. And the cool thing about big contracts is every year that you play on them, they get smaller. Like, it's easier for the Packers to move on from Aaron Rodgers next year than it is right now. That's just the fact of the matter. So I get it. Like, this, and if I was a Packers fan or a Packers executive, oh my God, I get that this is exhausting. But if you're talking about what gives you the best chance to be successful in the now, I still think it's him.
I guess, though, I wonder, and I'm literally doing this off the top of my head, so there might be an egregious error. Don't the organizations that have good to great quarterbacks have good to great quarterbacks? And the organizations that don't, they don't. When I think about even the Cowboys over the last 10 years, they've had good quarterback play. Romo, Dak, they've had good quarterback play.
Fell
They did.
butt backward into those two quarterbacks.
They did, but either way, they fell into it.
Right,
I think about the Steelers. It looks like they're going to go from Ben Roethlisberger to fairly good quarterback play and Pickett.
Yep.
Andy Dalton was not great, but let's not get it twisted. He went to the playoffs,
He was solid.
6 straight years.
Yeah, he was
and
solid.
now they have Joe Burrow, good quarterback play. Meanwhile, the Cardinals, it's kind of like you had a Kurt Warner here and there, and then it was like, Carson Palmer, and then it was like,
Matt,
it was like bad quarterback play. The Raiders.
Matt Liner.
The Raiders, for as much as we like Carr, he only went to the playoffs twice, if I'm not mistaken, and he only played once because he got hurt. So I'm wondering, Dave, I'm wondering, Joy, I'm wondering, Shady, talking out loud here. Yes, Brett Favre is a generational talent. Yes, Aaron Rodgers is a generational talent. But the Packers, go back to Bart Starr. Organizations that, for whatever reason, have good quarterback play, they just have good quarterback play. So I want to assume Jordan Love will be good.
You can't.
I'm talking out loud, so I might be wrong.
I mean, Bart Starr is a legend of the game, but like from the early era Packers in the 60s and 70s until Brett Favre, what do you know about the Packers in the 70s and 80s? Nothing.
Yeah.
Honestly, for as successful as they are, between between Terry Bradshaw and Ben Roethlisberger,
It's a long road.
who's the Steelers' best quarterback in that huge gap? It's very hard to do. If you want to have some fun, go pull up the draft histories from like 2000 to now. You can rely on NFL teams drafting 3 to 5 quarterbacks in the first round every year. How many of them are like good to great quarterbacks, and how many of them are like, well, man, I forgot they drafted that guy?
I mean, I don't think you should operate from a space of fear, and the league is passing you by. Even if Aaron does come back next year, if he plays at the level he played at this year, then you're going to be in the same situation that you were because he needs help. That's not an indictment of Aaron Rodgers. All quarterbacks need help.
And he needs to be the help. That's where I'm at.
That's where I'm at, too.
I guess that's the next layer of the conversation for me is say Aaron does leave Green Bay, which is looking like he likely might. Say he leaves Green Bay. I'm very interested to see how it goes in Green Bay. I don't have a lot of faith that they're going to be very good, but whatever. Breakups happen, and they need to move forward eventually. But where's Aaron going that he is finishing out his career playing at a high level? Because there's not that many options out
Much
there.
like Brady, it's a short list.
It's a short list, and unlike Brady, Aaron is not going in and at a new space and bringing that leadership stuff somewhere because he wasn't doing that when he had everything set up for him in Green Bay. Like, you can speak to this more than anybody. Brady came in and put his handprint on that situation, recruited players, and made sure everyone was inspired and involved and talking to each other and working through things. You see Aaron doing that the next place that he goes?
No, and I don't see him doing that in Green Bay, which is why I'm like, he's got to go. Shady, let me personalize it for you. You got to be on the outside in, so you might have to undermine your own ability to have this conversation. When the Eagles moved on from Vic, when they moved on from Deshaun Jackson, when they moved on from you, when they moved on from Jeremy Maclin, all of that seemed incredibly regrettable.
Right.
Moved on from Trent Cole, amongst others. But even you've admitted on this show, they did win a Super Bowl 3 years later, maybe 4 years later. You ended up getting Garrett, so there's no bad blood, obviously. But they moved on and won a Super Bowl with Zach Ertz, drafted in 2013.
I was there with him.
Nick Foles, drafted in 2012. Fletcher Cox, drafted in 2012. Carson Wentz, drafted in 2016. Michael Kendricks, drafted in 2012. Amongst others, they moved in with the new guard. Is that what you would say kind of the Packers you think should try to do is usher in this new wave?
Listen, it's time, like you just talked about. That core we had was super talented. Actually, I feel like our offense was a lot better than the Super Bowl Eagles offense. But collectively, the team was better. So, yeah, they got rid of all the heavy hitters, the ones that had all the big money. We carry a lot of money with us, for the salary cap. Got rid of all of us and drafted other players and got other talents from either trading or whatever it was. But they were a good team. Everybody runs their course. Yeah. People was mad about that, the trades and cuts. They were mad about us leaving. But they got over it because, okay, we got some new crops of players coming in. They look better. Aaron Rodgers, the thing with him is, like Joey talked about, he's not that leader that you get in with a Tom Brady. Everybody's excited for him to come there because not only is he a good player, but he's a good leader. He's a good person. Where I feel like Aaron Rodgers, like, we're only excited about him being a good player. And that's diminishing. Them talent level is not the same what it used to be. So all the chaos that comes in that locker room with Aaron Rodgers, him pointing the finger, because it's never his fault. Your fault, it's your fault. Then now I'm talking to the management, I need this, I need that. When your play is not that. Because there's a time when A-Rod said, look, I want this, and I better have it by Monday. It's going to be there Sunday because how good he is.
Yeah.
Them days are over with. Time to move on, Packers. Stop being scared.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.